Alrighty, what is happening, people? Let's get into today's outlook. So yesterday, this trade here, very clean. Some of you guys actually took this from the Telegram. So if you're not in there, make sure you are. I also took this live with a couple of the premium Discord members, so they were able to catch this as well. Very clean entry, exactly like I explained yesterday in the outlook. Coming to this point, if we get bearish signs, we'll take a trade. This trade will be broken down along with the AU trade as well from the day before. The AU trade, if I keep you guys updated with what's going on, I said it will take the lows, is still running. So realistically, realistic target was 1 to 10 for these triple equal lows that sit here. But like I said, we have a high chance of coming all the way down. It's sitting at 1 to 15. Botched the take profit on this, only scored 3%, which was kind of silly. But is what it is. Like I said, I'll leave heaps of profit on the table on that one, and it is what it is, and we'll move on. Coming into today, we still have not filled the rest of this imbalance on EU. I thought we would get a retracement, but we're not getting one. So I think it's highly likely we just keep selling. I actually think it's less likely for us to get an entry now than what we have been doing. So we have internally broken at the current point in time, but that's really all we've got. Okay, we have nothing else to work with here. I imagine this took liquidity internally here. Yeah, so you've got a demand to supply that sits internally here. Internal retest, more or less. So if we just mark out, realistically, this whole area as a supply, like I said, we haven't taken anything of any significance. We can sell from here. So what I would kind of need to see is for price to push up, take this high, break the low, take the high, and then sell. What that will do is will bring in more buyers into the market and bring in that liquidity. It'll be a slow move if it happens, but that's what I'll be looking for. I don't actually see another option to take a sell. So that's kind of the number one option. You can look at taking a sell off of this high if it does come up here. So they're the two options. As for buyers, I'm just not interested. I just don't think it's likely. It does not make sense to actually retrace from where we are. We haven't come into the 4-hour point yet, as in this high. We haven't come into that yet. We're bearish on every time frame, so let's just keep continuing bearish. But they're kind of the two options. Okay, so I'm happy to do either one of those. Over to GU. We have now taken our swing low, which was the target for the start of the week, so that's killer. No way to get in on GU. GU has just melted. There's been no entries at all unless you trade late New York start of Asia session, so that's not going to happen. In terms of what we've done now, equal lows, nothing to work with there. No valid supplies here to work. No internal structure to work with either. We have internally broken from a range that does not make sense to actually continue up. More or less, you've kind of got internal break, retracement, mitigation of lows, internal break. No valid demands for me to take a trade out of. Nothing to work with. I don't see a way to actually trade GU. So for now, I will stay out. If I see any movement, possibly signs that we're retracing a little bit, I'll let you guys know on the Telegram and the Discord. But at the moment, no structure. We are due for a retracement. Like I said, we have been bearish. We've taken that swing low, which was our target. There's just nothing for us to do with that at the moment. So EU's a lot better. I'll keep EU marked out. USDCAD has now taken this point. So at the start of, when was this? Tuesday last week, Tuesday 2 weeks ago, I said that this point would be taken. We've come up, come all the way down, and now we've taken that point, starting our new bullish 4-hour trend, which I said we would do. So in terms of where we're coming to this area. Okay, until we get there, I'm not even going to worry about marking it out. On the 15-minute, that's what we were looking for yesterday. No entry there. That is fine. I said I would leave that. That is the inducement here, but that doesn't matter given what the case is. Let me hide this. I can't have this in my way. So So that's gone. Cool. In terms of 15-minute range, our current 15-minute range is more or less the take of this liquidity here. High, small inducement internally, low, high, take of liquidity, low, high. So this is our current 15-minute range. We can't do anything with this. You can look to buy off of the take of this low. I think it's unlikely to give an entry, but it is valid. What I would need to see realistically is signs at some point that we're coming back down to here, at least to fill this point or fill this point or fill this point, take some liquidity. That's what I'm looking for. In order to see that, I need a break. I need a pull up with some type of take of liquidity and then a break, and then I'm happy to start selling. Until then, we can look to buy off of, like I said, buy off of here, buy off of here. I will keep these two. Oops. I will keep these two as kind of the initial what we can do for you guys, but I think it's highly unlikely. I will set an alert if it comes there, but that's kind of all we can do. AU, like I said, is coming for the major low. So what we can kind of get rid of now is we can get rid of that, get rid of that. We filled the gap, which is killer. We have now come into our extreme point, which is absolutely perfect. Off of that extreme point, we have had an internal 15-minute break. We have created no liquidity in my eyes that holds any value. We've got our extreme demand, which we can look to buy from. In terms of the other direction, we have got, that took that low, so I'm not interested. Realistically, it makes sense for AU to buy up here. So what I'm looking for is some type of analysis to get something like that, okay? So what we can look for straight up off the bat is we can just look to sell off the top of that. What we're looking for is this point to prove that it's not going to hold. It's against all current momentums at the moment. I don't think it'll hold. It can, but I don't think it will. This is a 15-minute inducement to me, which will come into a really, really good point that took liquidity, which is this one here. As you can see, it kind of lines up perfectly as break and retest, which is a concept I use like that. So what I would want to see is that come get taken and then sell. To buy, I need something else. This is a valid supply we've come into. It broke a 15-minute low here. Sorry, it took a 15-minute high and broke a 15-minute low. So this is a valid supply. I just think where we're coming from, it has less likely of a chance to hold. So sells today make a lot of sense. I might even look when I get off this call to possibly catch an early sell. I'll have a look on the 1 minute now for you guys. Break, pull back up. What I would be wanting to see is, so we've got internal break, somewhat of a valid demand, nothing to necessarily worry about. What I would want to see in order to take a trade is some type of proof that this area is not going to hold. So in order to see that, possibly something like that, and we can look to trade that. So I'm going to set an alert here like that. I'm quite open to actually taking that. This is just our current range, but we have mitigated a valid point. I don't like where we're coming from, but that's an idea we can look for. And all I would be doing is more or less just selling it down to here, down to this demand area. Like I said, this point makes sense to give a reaction. It has given a reaction. You may find what it kind of does now is just like does this and then melts off and builds liquidity. But I'm open to either or. So I'll set an alert there. I'll set an alert at this high, and then I'll set an alert at our demand. And I'm open to taking trades from either. The demand is the lower chance, lower probability idea, simply because we're bullish on every time frame. But I am open to it. I would rather another 15-minute break with the take of liquidity. So ideally what I kind of want to see is like pull down, pull up, sell, possibly to buy, to possibly sell from here or sell from here, or even come back up to my entry so I can be less sad. Either or. Okay, so I'll mark that out with this here. But if we look at the 4 hour, like we're looking quite bearish. Like it's not looking like it's going to hold. Major inducement push, inducement push, inducement push. That's more or less my internal. That's just the external. I just don't think we're going to follow that, especially given the DXY and things as well. USDJPY did not give our entry. It came very close to it. So what I was looking for was a pull up break, which we got, and then I wanted this liquidity taken, which it didn't. It made equal highs. So very close to kind of guessing what we wanted. Like I said, this point won't hold, but now we do have a possibility for a reversal. So if we can come in and take this high, yes, it's equal highs, which sucks, but taking this high means we can sell with the possibility of a reversal, which is really clean. So I'll keep an eye out there. Or possibly what would actually be better, you've got, this is the internal break, this is the internal point. What I would actually like to see is the take of this internal point here. So UJ is actually in a really good spot because we're in this external point that does hold enough to do something. We've now had a first break, some type of move, and a second break. I need the inducement into the next break. We'll be in a really good spot. This point does hold a little bit of weight, so just keep that in mind that we are bullish, so we can actually go bullish from here. But I actually kind of like sells, so either or I'm open to. I'll keep an eye on that. UJ is on the list, so get excited. AU's on the list, and we can kind of have a look from there. Like I said, external break, internal break. Could be bearish, really, really clean. All I'm looking for is either, oops, that. You just got to understand we're against the current market momentum, obviously. Like, it's quite obvious. So just understand that it's less likely to kind of occur. Okay. Back to gold. What did we get yesterday? Exactly what we wanted. Like I said, this point probably won't hold. We wanted to buy through that point. It bought through that point, no entry. It's now come down into this point. I believe we're going to buy from here. I am pretty certain we are going to buy. I will not be selling. I think buyers make sense to come and take this high. We have so much liquidity to the upside. I am targeting buyers. No entry internally in here, more than likely. I will have a look. There might have been one that we've missed, which would suck. But we've got, obviously, last inducement, internal break, area. It's very, very sketchy simply because of this range here. But we now have some type of inducement. What we're looking for is price to now give us a reason to come back down. So what I'm looking for is price to now push up into this point, come down here, and then give us that. That's what I want to see have happen. So I'll set an alert here, and then I'll set an alert here. Or on the contrary of like a possibility, we get another push down here, which comes into this area. We get some type of move off of this supply area that tells me it's not going to hold, and I'm happy to buy through, and I'm happy to hold to the highs. Okay, given this major inducement, I believe this is the next move. So gold's a really good one now. If you're not watching gold, chuck it on the list. It's in a really good spot. I will be heavily watching gold. If we look at the DXY, we still haven't taken this point. So all pairs that go with against the DXY, I expect to sell further. So AU, EU, GU, I expect them to sell further. UJ makes sense to buy. Like I said, UJ can buy until we at least take this high. Okay, we're getting really, really close to it. I think it makes sense to take this high. Once we've taken the high, I believe we'll get a bit of a turnaround. I don't think this was going to hold anyway, given what it's done. It makes sense to take it and then kind of get a dip. So they're the pairs I'm watching today. Like always, any questions, chuck them in the Telegram, chuck them in the comments on YouTube. Let's finish off what has been a really good week. So I'm up 6%. I've left lots of profit on the table. Some of you guys have probably secured a bit more, especially from yesterday's trade. You could have held 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, which is really clean. But yeah, I will break down AU and EU. They will be up. AU will be up probably tomorrow, and EU will be up Friday. And then we'll go from there. I understand there's still news, high impact news, and we'll keep going. So any questions, let me know. Let's middle of the week, let's finish off strong, and let's have a good Wednesday.